guys, welcome to Fat Quarter Shop's Friday live stream. I'm Kimberly Jolly and today is January 12th, 2024. And I'm super excited about what I'm going to show you today because I started making these blocks for our sew along last year and I got this done so quick. So this is one of the faster things that I was able to do. So I'm going to show you my tricks, and there's a lot of ways you can make this. There's a lot of different things you can do, and I'm going to try to show you, how you kind of work around it, how I worked with it, and then you can just decide how you want to do it. There's no hard set rules with these, which is why the block is fast and fun, because it gives you a little bit of flexibility. So I'm going to show you what we're talking about. Lori Holt has brand new heart quilt paper that's 10 by 10. And I'm going to show you how to make it. And when she came out with this, I saw that she had a quilt design using B dots. So we are hosting a quilt along from January to October. And what we're going to do is like one row a month. So January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Borders are October. And just a heads up, borders are cut length of fabric. Now, one thing that is kind of interesting about this is when you're making two blocks, when you cut two fabrics, you make two blocks at the same time. So when you're, say if this one, you would be making one for row one and then one for another row. So you actually kind of get ahead in the sew along. All your fabric requirements are listed within this pattern. I actually started with 2 B dots layer cakes instead of 1 so I could have more variety. It calls for 2 paper heart packages, but you can get away with 1. I'll show you how. Lori calls for the 7.5-inch trim it ruler. And you do need 8 background fabrics. You need yardage of that. And then I'm keeping everything the same as what Lori called for. So this is the border, this is the binding, and then this is the backing that's a 108. And I'm going to pull out the backing later to kind of show you what I did. She also calls for pebble large vintage trim, and this is how it will look sewn in. So it'll look really good. And this is obviously optional. You don't have to do this, but I love doing this. And the quilt finishes square at 70 by 70. And you could also, if you wanted it to be bigger, this is one of those quilts that's really easy. You could add another row, column, you can easily add to this. So today what I'm going to do is just focus on showing you how to use the paper. And you can use whatever fabric you want. And what's great about this is you can use what's in your stash, because it uses like a 10-inch square. So when you cut each block, you're going to cut a background. Now, the way that I did this, now I'm just showing you, this is how I did it. I'm sure there's a ton of ways to do it. But you're going to cut one background and one print at the same time. And you're going to get 2 blocks. So this is the outside. This is part of what you cut from one fabric, and then this is the other part. And then the other one is this plus this. I decided to do what Lori did and just inverse them, just like this. I am going to show you some other options. So what I mean by that is when you cut 2 fabrics, you would make this one and this one at the same time, because these are the same fabrics. So I'm going to focus on showing you one block. I'm going to also show you some tricks on how to save money by only buying 1 package of paper. But what I would suggest when you're starting with this is to start with just 2. Just so you know, when I first started, this was my first boo-boo. It is easy to make a mistake with this block, but once you get it going, it's super fast and easy. So it is not foolproof, but I found that I had to use design boards so that I wouldn't make boo-boos like that. So this is just an example of what we're going to be making. Basically, it's an inverse and outverse. Okay, so the yardage was cut from a bolt, so it's 10 inches square. My layer cake was cut from a layer cake, but I starched it. So you can tell it's not exactly 10 inches. It's about a 1/4 inch away. So I'm just going to kind of center that, and it's going to work even though it's not the full 10 inches. When you take your paper out, one side is just like paper and one side is like a wax paper. So what you want to do is center that and iron it. Now you do have to iron it, and if you don't iron it, it's not going to work because I tried that. But what I would recommend, like I said, we're going to start with 2. Once you get the rhythm down, you can cut layers of 6 or 8, and then you can use less paper. So like I said, you kind of just center it, and because this block trims down, that's why it works. And you just want to put the heat on your paper. I'm not using steam, but you can. So you can use steam, it's not going to matter either way, but what you're going to see is it's going to stick to that top fabric, not the bottom. But this is just a way to conserve paper. And it's going to be kind of wrinkly, and that's fine. It's going to be cut down, and even if you don't cut on the exact lines and your fabric moves a little bit, it's still going to work. And the paper you start with, to be clear, you're starting with 10-inch squares. Your block is going to finish at 7 inches. So from here, when I'm cutting, I'm just trying to keep all my fabrics together. And I did iron on the right side, not the wrong side. Whichever side you decide to use, you have to use that throughout. So you can't have one fabric right side up and one fabric right side down. That will not work. So I figured that out. That was also a mistake I made. So I decided to go with right side up. So I found the best way to cut this is to cut the center. Move this, but keep it together. And then I found it was easiest to cut these top ones. Move a little bit. And then cut these. And if your fabric moves a little bit, it's going to be okay. See how that moved? It's totally fine. But I do think it is important when you're cutting to cut your whatever's going to go together, cut at the same time. So that's all you have to cut. And like I said, if you're doing 6 or 8 at one time, you just cut a bunch of blocks all at once. Now I removed the paper, and you can't use the paper again, so you just put it in the recycle bin. And it just comes off. There's no residue or anything. And if you have tried this block, I would love to use any of your tips so you can put them in. And I am using purple just for you guys. You guys love purple. Okay, so now the biggest thing that I did is I tried to just make the block without design boards. That's a big mistake. That's how I came up with that boo-boo I showed you. So I put one design board here and one design board here. And what I'm going to do is put my darks are here. So first lay out your outside pieces like that. Then do your outside pieces over here. And then you invert them. So instead of putting this in here, you put it here, and then you put this one here. And you make these the same exact way. So I'm going to show you how to make it one way, because it's the same. So I'm just going to do this one. Okay. Now, when you put these together, they're not the exact same size. You just kind of center it wherever. Honestly, I mean, you could do it here, you could do it here. I just kind of centered it wherever. Some of your seams are going to line up and a lot of them are not. So this is not, there's no pinning. This is just a free-for-all. So I'm going to sew that with a 1/4 inch seam. I'm going to put this on. I'm going to just kind of center it, sew a 1/4 inch seam. I'm going to do the same thing here and here. We're going to sew these 2 seams, and like I said, do a couple blocks before you start doing all of them at one time. And I'm not paying attention to the direction of the fabric. This is the left side of the heart and this is the right side of the heart. So you can see, you know, I did this, but you can line it up however you want. You'll get different results trying different things. And I just make sure once I sew it, I put it back on the design board in the right spot. So here, I'm just gonna do like this. And you're just using a 1/4 inch seam, and of course it doesn't have to be accurate because you're going to trim down, so you can kind of go fast. So this is why I was able to do this super fast. Okay, so what I did with pressing is and this is not paper piecing, this is using the paper only for cutting, not for piecing. And the fabrics both have to face right side up when you're cutting, or it will not work. Now this, I wanted to show you what I did. This is just what I did. You can do it however you want. I pressed the left side of my heart opposite of the right side. And I just did it every which way. It does not matter throughout the quilt that they stay the same. But I just did one way on one side and one way on the other. And the only seam I pressed open is the center. And the reason why we did that, you will see in a little bit why I did that. You don't have to do that. So here on the right side, I'll just press to the purple. And just keep putting it back on the design board. And then here I'll press to my white. Okay, so now what I want to show you is you can go to your sewing machine and you can just sew just like that if you want. Or you can trim just the little extra part off if you want. I'm gonna do that just because I don't want that bulk in my seam, but you do not have to do this. This is totally optional and most people probably won't do this. I just don't want that extra seam. And I can sew faster without all that bulk. And then I'm just gonna sew these on, and like I said, just kind of center it where you have just a little bit over the top. It's like 1/8 of an inch up there. And then like 1/4, you know, it's just a little bit hanging off each end. Now on here, whichever way you press, you should keep it the same throughout. So on the left, I'll press one way. On the right, I'll press the opposite way. That way you'll see in a second when we join rows how that matters. So So now you could try to sew that together. Now I would never just try to sew that together because there's just too much movement. So I just chop it off. Just pick a place. You could chop it off here. You could chop it off here. You can chop it off wherever. This will work as long as you have a 10-inch. So if that 1/8 won't work because you need at least 10 inches across. So if you have scraps that are at least a 10-inch square, that's what I would start. And then you see. Now, well, I'm going to show this put together, and then I'm going to show you how the blocks come out. Now, right here, I'm not pinning. I'm just placing them about where they go. And we'll see. They might line up, they might not. And I'm going to show you in my blocks how they came out. Some really line up and some really don't. So just so. If you want to pin, you can. I don't think it matters. And you'll see that once I do pin when I start putting my rows together, but when doing the blocks, you'll see after you make like 10 blocks why it doesn't matter. Now here you're going to have a little bit of an extra piece there. I don't like having extra stuff in my seams, so I cut those out. That's totally optional. Now here I'm going to press open, so I'll set my seam. And then press open. So here you can see, you know, it's kind of lined up. Like here it kind of is, it's kind of not. It doesn't matter. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a 7.5-inch square ruler and I'm going to center it. And hopefully this line and this line gives you enough to cut off all sides. If it doesn't, move your ruler over. Doesn't matter. And what I tried to do was just go about a 1/4 inch above this. That was kind of what I did. It worked on some, not all. And I just trim. And then here's your waist. Right here, I'm going to trim right here. I'm going to trim this little thingy. Okay, and that's how you make the block. So easy. And you can, I mean, I made all 81 blocks. I think it's 81 blocks in like a day. So I'm going to show you row 1. And I'm just going to lay them out. Well, I'm going to flip them so that I can keep them together because I'm going to show you how you put a row together. So just kind of look when I'm showing you. This one you can see is not a 1/4 inch from the top. It's like an 1/8 of an inch from the top. These match. Same thing here. These don't match. Look at that. That does not match. This one's pretty good. Some are better than others. Some are more folk art than others. So it just, whatever happens, happens. And I have these in order. Now this one I just want to show you. Look at that. That's not anywhere a 1/4 inch from the top. So I had to cut further down. So none of the stars are gonna, or none of the hearts are gonna be exactly the same way. So this is row 1 in the order of row 1. But I want to show you something else fun that you can do. Okay, so we made this block. Well, I made these this morning. This is how the pattern is written. Inverse and outverse, or whatever you want to call it. What you could do is this, which is really fun, where you put a dark with a light and a dark with a light. And so that also gives you a really cool block. And I just did that because I thought it was fun. And I think a quilt with this would look really pretty also. So that's another option. And these were just extra blocks I made. Now what I'm going to show you is the pattern real quick. And what I do, I'm going to show you kind of some tricks. You could use this for general ideas. This is row 2 already put together, because I really want you guys to see how the blocks float and they're not perfect. So I have it in order, like block 1, block 2, block 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the sewing machine and I'm going to pin and sew each one as I go. So basically I will put these two together and I will pin. I'm only pinning down here. I'm not pinning here. I'm just going to pin once at the bottom, and I'm going to add all of them together at one time, and I'll show you. So I'm just going to put them right sides together, pin at the bottom only. And sew. I see a little thing I'm going to clip off. And then I'm going to add this one. I must have forgot to cut all these little things off. And at this point, I'm not even really needing to pin at the bottom, so you don't even really have to if you don't want to, because they're exactly 7.5 inches. Okay, we have 2 more. And I just used Lori's diagram because it was easier. I really didn't have to think. So, really fun. And this would be great for scrap quilt, so I might add one of these to my scrap quilt rotation. We'll see. Okay, so this is row 1 and this is row 2. And the reason I have row 2 here is I wanted to see which way I pressed. So I pressed all of these blocks that way. So I'm going to press all of these blocks this way. And I was only pinning at the bottom because right here, that does not have to meet. And you're going to see all of them in a little bit. You'll see how some line up, some don't. Okay, so just looking at this, you can see this doesn't line up. This doesn't line up, but this one does. That's what I mean, you don't have to pin, because sometimes it's gonna line up, sometimes it's not. In my block, sometimes my stuff lines up, like this one definitely does not. So it's wonky, and you can also see they're not all gonna be the same height. See that? See how that is? See how this one's a lot lower than this one? That's the beauty of this, and that's what gives it the folk art look, and that's how you go so fast. Now I want to show you right here. This is a block that I did at the very beginning, thinking I needed everything to line up. So now I have stretched fabric, which is totally ridiculous. But that was before I realized you don't need to pin. Now from here, I'm going to put these together and show you where you can pin. And I'm only going to pin at the intersection, so right here. And I'm going to show you why we pressed open. Here, I pressed open just so if, you know, when they touch, I'm not going to try to get them to touch. I'm not going to pin there or anything, but it'll just be less bulk either way. I'm only going to pin and these intersections. And remember, Fat Quarter Shop is hosting the quilt along. Our goal is 1 row a month. And this is a fun quilt because there's really not a lot of pinning, and you get a folk art look. It's really fun and easy, and I had so much fun making these blocks. So I am hoping that she does a little bit more paper like this, just because it's fun. It's funky, it's fast, it's nice to not have to worry about pinning, because even if I pin, I'm gonna get that puckered look. And that's what I learned by making them, is don't try to make them match, because it's gonna work on some and not others. And why that is, I have no idea. So I'm just gonna sew with a 1/4 inch seam. So really quick, I'm going to set my seam. Thank you to Sue Sweeney for the super chat. Thank you, Kimberly, Ashley, Jordan, and FQS staffers. I appreciate you. We also have Sophie in here. This is a Laura Star iron. We now sell them, and they are amazing. It's called the Laura Star Smart Use System with my, and then I changed the cover. The design boards, they should be back in stock. I order them as they make them. So, and as new collections come out, we order the design boards. And so, as long as Riley Blake has them, we have them. We should have some in stock. And then from here, I'm gonna iron this way. I'm actually gonna turn it this way. Okay, I want that to be really flat, and because I didn't pin a bunch, I really want it flat. I don't care if my seam's lined up, but I do need this flat, so I'm gonna just do 1 press over. That will ensure there's no duck pleat here. Bless you. And we're gonna zoom in so you can see, and then I'll kind of show you the imperfections. So, you know, hopefully these match up, but you can see if you're just looking, you know, some of it matches up, some of it doesn't. I mean, that doesn't match up. That kind of matches up. And this is what you don't want, but obviously I don't want to remake the block. Maybe I should. So let me know if you have any questions. Really fun. And I'm going to show you something fun I did on the backing. I have a lot of extra blocks on this, like a lot, because I just kept making them. So basically I will label this row 1, and then each month I will add my next row. And I want to show you how I have all my blocks put together so you can see how I have them like in the stacks. So this will be like top left. That way, I mean, I guess it makes sense because it's hearts, you'll know, but I usually do that anyway. So here's my box. These are not used, these are my extras. Row 3, row 4, row 5, it's all in order by row. This is my leftover backgrounds, and I'll just put that in my stash when I'm done. But I just keep them in order. And with one of those extra hearts, I made a little heart to put on the back. So what I did is I made the right side normal. And here, when I got to this piece, I basically sewed one of the Sweetwater labels with a rectangle on the side, a big triangle here, just a bigger one, and then added it. Trimmed it down to 7.5. I put the block right side together with the interfacing by Lori Holt, stitched a 1/4 inch away, covered my stitches, cut a plus sign in the back, folded it right side out, and I'm just gonna hand stitch this on my wide backing. And I'm probably gonna put it on wonky, not straight. Like, it'd be really fun if I put it along the bias like that on the back. The pins that I use are the Little House pins, and I'm gonna answer questions before I move on to the next thing. I use the Little House pins. Thank you to the Bathola for the super chat. She says, hey there, Kimberly, so glad you're back. Thank you for watching. Is Kimberly going to do an Enchanted Star block tutorial? What is Enchanted Star?
The free scrap quilt for this year.
I don't think so. I don't have it planned, but that doesn't mean that I can't add it. But right now, no. Do you know when the sticky boards are back in stock? We think this month. It might be February. Do I sell the storage box? Yes, it's called Art Bin. Beautiful quilt. Could we use sashing between the rows? Yes, you could do whatever you want. Is Kimberly going to do a sew along in June for Designer Mystery? No, I've never done Designer Mystery for videos ever. I'm doing, yeah, there's a sew along, but it's more on social media. It's not on video. So that is Bee Hearts by Lori Holt. So cute. But just think about all the possibilities with your blocks. Use scraps, use inverse, use outverse, like flip and flap. Like, you can just do a lot with it if you just sit and try to be creative with it. And what's fun about it is it's mindless sewing because you're trimming down, nothing has to match, and you just kind of have to get used to it. I mean, obviously the first block I got wrong, but the biggest thing I would say is when you're ironing your paper down, all your fabrics need to be right side up, and then just try to center your paper as good as you can and just sew. Have fun. Okay, now I want to show you this week. Riley Blake Designs came out with the Riley Blake Designs Quilt Block Challenge, and they released their first block Tuesday. So I kind of wanted to talk to you about this one. Each year, Riley Blake has a free block tutorial. Block 1 is right here. It's designed by Lori Holt. It came out this Tuesday. The block pattern is available on Riley Blake's website. not on Fat Quarter Shop. I decided I'm going to use the Mercantile Collection by Lori Holt that came in stock, plus I'm using this yellow background. I don't know the SKU. There will be 16 blocks and they will all finish at 10 inches. This will go all the way from now until May 28th. Riley Blake will post a free block every Tuesday of the month except the last Tuesday of the month, and all the blocks are on the Riley Blake Designs blog, and they're not on Fat Quarter Shops, just Riley Blake's. Now, what Lori did is she's also sewing along, so she colored all the blocks. So I got lucky. Lori colored them. It took all the thinking out of it. So what I'm going to do is show you my tip for this block. So here's your block, 10 inches. Okay, I want to show you the way that Lori wrote it is, can you zoom into like kind of over here? I'm going to show you the way Lori wrote it, and then I'm going to show you how I did it. And I think this is great. Do it whichever way you think works, but my mind works a certain way, and for me to get accurate points, I just kind of get a little bit crazy about it. So she has you do a square, a half square triangle, and then here a rectangle with a corner square. Well, I didn't want to do 4 half square triangles and then 4 rectangles because it would be quicker to just make 8 half square triangles with my triangle paper H100. So I'm going to show you. Now just think before Jordan starts showing you the pictures, this is what we're trying to do. Okay, so let's zoom out so I can have this on the right side a little bit. Right there, okay. Okay, so now we're going to show images. So instead of doing a square, a half square triangle, and a rectangle, you can see I did a square, a square, a half square triangle, and another half square triangle. From there, I took that, turned it upside down, and took my ruler and drew a line, friction pen, corner to corner, not a 1/4 inch away. You can see it's corner to corner. Leave that fabric there. Put it on top of a pink rectangle that you cut bigger. I cut it 5 1/4 inches instead of 4 1/2. So I just cut it much bigger. Put that together, making sure you have a 1/4 inch past. Sew on that line. Now you see I have not cut anything yet. And I sewed directly on that line. And when I sew directly on that line, you can see I hit the point. From there, trim it off. And that's just in case you make a mistake. It's always best to trim last. Press. Put a 4 1/2 inch square ruler on top. And what you're doing is you are trimming off right here only. Because when we started, we built this in at the exact size. So you just trim, and that's how I got the perfect points. So this is block 1. Now what you can do is follow Fat Quarter Shop on social media, and each week when Riley Blake releases a block, that same day we're going to show our block. And thank you to Lori Holt for coloring it so that all I could do is just sew it and not have to think about it. And the finishing, I can tell you, the finishing's really cute on this one, and it does use square and square paper. And I got Emma to sew all the square and square paper, and Will to pull all the square and square paper. So now I have people in my house that are actually working, and it is amazing because square and square blocks are my least favorite. Now I get to show you an amazing quilt. So I'm going to hold it, and then we're going to put it on the table. It's big, big, big. Okay, so we're going to zoom out, and then we're going to kind of rotate it throughout so you can see all the blocks. So we'll start in the top left. This is called the Piecemakers Sampler Block of the Month by Pam Buda. And if you sign up for the Block of the Month at Fat Quarter Shop, you're going to get the monthly patterns and the fabric to make this quilt top. It's a year-long program. starts next month, which is February 2024, and ends in January 2025. It's 86 by 95, and the kit does include the binding but not the backing. And you can buy the backing set separately. And so Pam has it divided up where some months you make these blocks and some months you make this block. Now what I wanted to show you is, for example, this block right here is set straight. This block is on point. This block is on point. So your Irish chain blocks will be straight. Those will be easier. Your on point, well, let's say, they will still be hard because they're small. These will be more challenging to put on point, but the blocks will be easier, but they're still about the same size. Okay, we'll keep showing. And this is using Pam Buta's fabric. The fabric collection is called Piecemakers Sampler. The border is the same as the background. So I would say this is definitely advanced. This would make a beautiful quilt though. Really, really pretty. But definitely, you know, if I was doing this, I would use, you know, strip piecing, half square triangle paper, all of the things to make it match. And I'll show you their backing. I don't think it's the same backing set that we picked though. Well, in fact, I know it's not. But this is what Pam used. So this is designed by Pam Buta, pieced by Debbie McLaren's, and quilted by Rhonda Dranter. And they put a sleeve on the top of their quilt so that it could hang at a quilt show. Okay, so that's one quilt I'm going to show you. The next quilt I'm going to show you is the Layer Cake Shake. So I always love our shortcut quilts because what I think is unique about our channel is I show a lot of in detail piecing and a lot of using pins and, you know, making sure everything's exact. But our shortcut quilt, what that brings to our channel is easier, bigger piecing that you can just pick something up from your stash for the weekend and just make a quilt. So it's called Layer Cake Shake It Off. It's an easy quilt and it helps you shake off a quilting rut. So if you need something fast and easy, you could use this. I also think this is a great pattern for a baby shower. Super cute. This is designed by Angel, pieced by Anne, and quilted by Joanna Marsh. We do have quilt kits, and I'm going to show you the fabric requirements. You'll use 1 layer cake or 28 10-inch squares. So if you have 28 10-inch squares, you can use that. For background right here, the fish, that's 1.5 yards. And that also goes on the border here. And 5/8 yard binding and 3 3/4 yards backing. Completely free pattern, completely free video. You can find that at fatquartershop.com. And this collection right here is, what's this collection? It's Stacy Itsu. I'm drawing a blank. Somebody tell me what it is in the comments. You guys know. You guys will figure it out. So really easy and fun. Okay, and now what I want you to do is start asking your questions because we're getting towards the end. And I'm going to show you what's new. Okay, this is Woodland and Wildflowers by Fancy That House Designs for Moda. And all of her fabrics, I have noticed, have a continuing theme of rust and orange. So that's going to tie all her collections together. She's a newer designer for Moda. Strawberry Lemonade. Okay, I can tell you these are going to be gone soon. We ordered a ton of Strawberry Lemonade. it is almost all gone. I hate to tell you that. I'm so sorry. We bought so much of it, but this is the most popular fabric we've ever had from Sherry and Chelsea from Moda. Yardage is not in stock yet, but all the pre-cuts are. If I were you and you want it, I would get it now. I am going to be using this collection in the free Quilting Life Block of the Month for 2024. I'm doing something a little bit different though, and I'm going to be focusing on yardage, and I will have all that information in a future live stream, and I'm using a lot of the reds. And the reason why is I always, when I show you the Sherry Block of the Month, I want to do it different. I want to show you something different because there's no reason for you to watch my channel if I do everything the same as everybody else. So Sherry colored it one way, and I had to figure out a way to color it where it was different, and that's why I did that. If you're going to do it the way Sherry is, just get the bundle. That Noah's Ark is what Jordan says the layer cake shake is. And we did not name it for Taylor Swift. So for all of you Kansas City fans asking, we did not, but it's good. Maybe the Google algorithm will pick it up. This is Silhouettes by Holly Taylor and Moda Fabrics, and it's definitely creams, 2 shades of gray and 1 shade of black. Okay, there are some new Bella Solids that just came out, yardage and bolts. This is the Cozy Fat Quarter Bundle, and this is the Bright Fat Quarter Bundle. Moda put these together. Anytime Moda comes out with new pre-cuts, they make bundles, and it's called one and done. So we buy them, and when they're gone, they're gone. So this is the cozy colors. These are the bright colors. This I wanted to show you is the one color that we will be selling as a full bolt. This is SKU 9900-462. It's Nantucket. It is the color that Camille asked Moda to make, and she's going to be using this a lot in her backgrounds and future quilts. So we have yardage of color 462. We also have bolts. I can tell you already, based on our sales, we are going to sell out of this, and more will be coming in mid to late March. We bought a ton of it, but we just, I think that Camille promoted it more than I expected. Really pretty color, really pretty color. We have some batiks. This is Dutchy Blues Batiks by Jacqueline DeJong for Anthology Fabrics. So we've got, you know, roses. She always does a lot of really good. We usually buy all of Jacqueline DeJong batiks because she does unique motifs, and I think that that sets her stuff apart from other batiks. Obviously, I don't sew with batiks, but, you know, I just buy based on what, you know, I think that you guys would like. This is a fun group by Timeless Treasures called Lemon Boutique. So if you don't know anything about Timeless Treasures, what they are, their company was really built on novelties. So novelties like what you would see at your doctor's office when the doctors are wearing scrubs. That's kind of what this is a running stripe, what they built their company on. And sometimes they do collections. So we try to buy their novelties, and we try to buy collections when we can. And I just really thought the yellow roses and the lemons and the color, I just thought it was really good. So we put this together. It's called Lemon Bouquet. Bouquet. Really cute. Art Gallery has a new collection called Soul Fusion. And it's Art Gallery Studios, so it's just various designers. And when we buy Art Gallery, we always cut half-yard bundles and fat quarter bundles, and we always have the yardage, and we keep it about 5 months in stock. Really cute group by Hoffman. I really like this panel. I'm going to show it to you. And it's really soft. The fabric's really nice. So the panel is actually 35 inches this way. Just ignore the wood behind it. The wood is that. So it's the alphabet. And I think they did a really good job with the motifs, the variety. I think it could be unisex, you know, cute, just really cute. So that's the panel. It's 36 inches wide. And then the yardage that goes with it. This is a Prisma, I think. It's not a batik, basically, it's a print. And then this is the alphabet scrambled. And then these two are really cute. This one is the safari animals. And then this one is a smaller version of the panel scattered. So this would make a really cute backing. I'm gonna answer some questions before we do the giveaway. And that was called Love and Learning. Am I doing Moda Blockheads 5? Yes, and I have already started to show my blocks. I have 2 on social media already. The collection I'm using is Flower Girl by Heather Briggs from My So Quilty Life. Brand new collection, and I think my blocks look pretty good. It was kind of hard to, I will say it was a little bit harder to color them because she's a new designer and I hadn't worked with those colors before. But I really am happy with my blocks, so I hope you at least look at them. They're really fun. The 108 backing for paper hearts that I showed is in stock. Just search wide backing Lori Holt, because when I buy the 108, I buy it from us, so that's how I know it's in stock. How is my finger after I burned it? Yes, it's fine. It's fine. I was just being a big old baby. I'm like really a sissy. So you should never listen to me when I complain, but it did. I will say it did hurt. The next day it was fine, but it really did burn. I don't know what I was thinking. And then Jordan put a thimble, if y'all missed that, I did a finishing tutorial on our floss tube channel. Jordan put a thimble on the table for me to use, and I didn't even notice that he did that. When will Chatsworth Block of the Month ship? Email Janelle at fatquartershop.com to get the exact date. Lori Holt paper must have sold out. More will be in stock soon. I don't know exactly when, but we had a lot this morning. Nora Murdoch. Other than the finish, how are the silky fabrics different? Do they wash or sew differently? Silky fabrics. Oh, Bella Solid Silky. Okay, so Bella Solids are just like a regular solid, like a lower grade fabric in terms of it's not as expensive. The silky fabric is printed on the exact same fabric as the rest of the Moda fabric, so it has like a chintz finish. So it's up to you if you want to pay more. I usually use the non-silky just to, I've always used it. I didn't ever have a problem with it, so I use the cheaper version, if that's what you want to know. But you could use either. So much fun today. I really want you guys to sew the paper hearts, show it on social media, join the Kimberly Stitch Squad Facebook group, post your blocks, and I really want to see if you guys can get creative and like really start using your scraps. So fun. We're going to give away 3 B-Dots layer cakes and a heart paper too when they come in stock. I guess we ran out. So we're going to give it to 3 winners. So you might get your shipment in 2 different times. And Jordan has decided that he wants to know what your superpower is. So put that in there. It'll give Jordan something to read this weekend. And Ashley will announce the winners. You have until Thursday, January 18th, 2024 to enter. Ashley is picking winners on Friday, January 18th, and she always puts those in the community tab, so you can find it there. I hope all of you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next Friday. Next Friday, we're going to be going over all of my sew along progress, and so it's going to be really fun because I've made a ton of stuff, and I'm really starting off the year with a bang. I've got so much fun stuff to show you guys. And I had a lot of time over the holidays to really get a lot of sewing done. So I'll have a lot for this live stream. And make sure you subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next week.